Hello, and welcome back to Firesins Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Suzerain. So last time out, we raised taxes, we pissed off Ciara, and totally managed to convince Gloriatori to get on board with our constitution changes. So today, let's pick it up here with a meeting with Albin Clavin to try to convince the reformists to our side. After our meeting with Gloriatori and further discussions with the party and my cabinet, it was time to talk to Albin Clavin to get the reformist wing to support the proposal. I also plan to finally present a more fleshed-out proposal and declare our agenda to the party after our meeting. I walked into the left wing of the assembly and entered the quarters of the USP. When I reached the meeting hall, I saw many of our members conversing inside. After taking a glimpse inside, I went back into the corridor to look for the office of Albin Clavin, which was around the back of the place. When I reached his room, I knocked on his door and entered. "Mr. President, welcome." The whole room was surrounded by bookshelves packed with files and papers. There was a small office with books and dossiers lying on every corner. I felt claustrophobic. On his gesture, I took a seat. How's everything going, Mr. Clavin? It's been busy. The party has been working very hard, Mr. President. Thank you for asking. How's it going for you in the palace? I'm feeling pretty good. That's great to hear. Our team was disappointed by the veto of the Workers' Rights Act. We worked day and night for weeks. It would have boosted your public opinion too, Mr. President. The businesses would be burned even further. In this climate, it would damage the economy. I understand your perspective, but haven't the companies benefited from this situation and made profit for a long time? It seems that the administration is taking a very pro-business approach. He poured himself some water and had a sip before continuing. Anyway, sir, let's talk about the proposal. Thanks for coming here for my input, because there are some subjects where Gloria and I don't see eye to eye. But what I didn't expect was a worsening of the current situation. Presidential decrees above statute law and not subject to judicial review. It would destroy the separation of powers. This particular change is specifically worrying as it represents an opposite trend. The decrees need to be weaker, not stronger. Let's see, so the guide says to respect their perspective, so okay. I respect the perspective of the reformist wing. Enough to make a slight change that would heavily influence our tendencies to support the drafts? I suggest limiting the power of the decrees than enabling acts. The Assembly should have some control over potential rogue presidents, which, under this draft proposal, also would have immunity for life once retired. If you really care about further democratic reforms, we'll issue the enabling acts, but we have to make sure the presidents can't work alone anymore. Okay, so it just says to refuse to budge, so that's fine. I don't trust the Assembly to give me the power to enact major reforms, though. I thought you wanted to discuss a change. There must be another way. I have to say, most of the progressives are already starting to warm up to you. Your attempt at changing the Constitution created quite a bit of excitement. One could dare to say an excitement that has been felt since the 30s. Yet there are some issues with the current status of the draft proposal, so we may need to contain our excitement a little longer. I suspect that Mrs. Tory had a lot of influence on this proposal, but I cannot support this in its current state. I need your support, Mr. Clavin, a fact that I'm aware of. But at this point, even my support will not be enough. Well, how about some other deal? I'm all ears. If you give us your support, you'll be my VP in my next cabinet. An interesting proposal. One that's very hard to turn down, especially now that I think we align, Mr. President. Can I hold you to that promise? Yeah. I don't intend to run with Peter again. It'll be you, I promise. Good, then it seems like we have a deal. I'll talk to my guys shortly. I'll have their signature soon. Thank you, Mr. Clavin. See you in the conference, Mr. President. I left his room and went back into the corridor. The meeting had exhausted me. I went to the restaurant of the Assembly to get something to eat while conversing with other members of our party. I saw Albin talking to his people in the distance. After a while, the preparations for the conference began, and I went back into the conference hall and prepared my notes for the speech I was going to make. It took time to get all the present members of the party inside the hall. Gloria Tori announced me from the stand. I walked up to the stand as everybody in the room started clapping. Alright, let's see here. Ladies and gentlemen of the party, I came here today to announce the agenda for the future of our country. I started my speech with the reasons of the changes to the Constitution. The Supreme Court is blocking the future of Swordland yet again, since President Sol has placed these judges there. They believe that they are the sole protectors of the Constitution and real leaders of Swordland, even though they weren't even elected. We must be brave enough to break the power over us, bring the change Swordland has been so eagerly waiting for. I paused and some people started clapping, but it was short-lived. After taking a breath, I continued. I brought attention to democracy and why we must write a more democratic constitution. I explained how our proposal will fix these issues. The left side of the hall where Albin sat started applauding. Later, I explained the contents of the new constitution and asked for their full support for the proposal. I asked for each and every member's vote to make a change together. The reformists ruling on the left stood up and started clapping loudly after Albin Clavin made a sign. Soon after, most of the party members stood up and joined in. I saluted everybody in the room one last time, bid them farewell before leaving the stand. I walked outside the assembly and back into the palace. Nice. Alright. Let's see. So, journal. Just says that we promised Albin he will get the, that Albin has promised the support of the reform wing. Perfect. Alright, check out the news here. President meets the USP. Today, President Rain has met with his party members in a party meeting in the Grand National Assembly of Swordland, where the current situation of the country and future plans of the party were likely discussed. It's later reported that President Rain used the meeting to give a speech to the party and announce the contents of the first draft of the new constitution. The details of the meeting were not made public, nor what the draft contained. Perfect. Alright, that looks like everything here, so let's go and continue on to the next turn. Balance of power in Eastern Marcopa. Okay, alright, let's see. So we got two newspapers here, and it looks like just the thing in here in Whole Sword. Let's start with the papers. Alright, from the Radical, Archaic State of Swordland's Conscription Laws. Dear reader, I ask you this, what year are we in? 1880? 1920? The matter I am writing about is, of course, mandatory military service again. Times where there are no active wars, why do we still need to have these archaic conscription laws? Let me answer that. It's because someone profits from it. Not only does this make the warmongering souls happy, it also works out for large defense corporations. The oligarchs are now swimming in money and will still have to send their children away when they come of age. We are in a modern age. We want to modernize Swordland and catch up to the superpowers. If we want to lose this militaristic identity so that we can intellectually prosper, mandatory conscription laws need to go. And Geopolitica, Rain to meet with Smolak and Van Horten. Swordland is embarking on a great geopolitical gamble with the new trade initiative organized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The hope is the solidification of relations with the old ally Agnolia and the troublesome neighbor Wayland, with the aim of regaining some of the regional diplomatic influence the country used to have. Each of these countries have different agendas, which create some difficulties for President Rain. PM Van Horten, who was elected through a powerful democratic movement, wants to reimagine trade with Swordland. President Smolak of Valen is looking for new foreign investments and security cooperation as rebellious British movements at the border. Lesby and Fogsden are watching Swordland's actions very closely and are sure to react to any sort of balance of power shift. Nice. Alright, let's head to Whole Sword. Let's see here. So, let's start with the report first. So, Ministry of Health discusses privatization. The Ministry of Health has begun working on a health report with a proposal to allow privatization of the health system to potentially generate new resources for the ministry. Minister Bennywell is personally overseeing the discussion and the report with top aides, including members from the National Business Council. Cool. Alright, so superpowers offer aid. See, United Cantana and Arcasia have approached us with substantial financial aid offer in return for refuel and repair access to their military installations. United Cantana requests access for its ships to be able to dock at the Conriat Naval Base, while Arcasia requests access for its jets to land at the earlier Air Force Base in return for the aid. Okay, yeah, so the guide says to accept aid from United Cantana. Yeah, seeing that sounds a little weird, it helps our navy out for when we go to war later. And obviously adding +1 to the budget is useful, so we'll go with United Katana. Alright, so we have one country overview, which should just be United Katana given naval access, or naval base access. Perfect. Alright. And, yep, another report. Condemnation from Markasia. Markasian ambassador in Holsword condemned the financial deal between Swordland and United Katana, criticizing President Rain for inviting United Katana to meddle in Eastern Marcopan affairs. He announced that President Walker will do whatever it takes to defend its sphere from the encroaching threat of millennialism. That's nice. Alright. Religious Harmony Bill. Let's see here. So, I think we're supposed to veto this as well. Let me double check. Yep. We need to veto it in order to keep the Baloods happy so we don't have a revolt on our hands later. But let's see what it says anyway. Religious Harmony Bill. For the purposes of increasing religious harmony and unity, the following laws are established in religious affairs. Section 1 of the RHB will ensure that the Day of Dissension ceremony in the Arch Sanctuary of Deer shall from now on hold sermons, in the Swordish language. Section 2 will forbid sanctuaries from holding sermons in Bludish unless they receive approval from the Archpriest of Swordland. Section 3 will enforce that all priests applying to be state-sanctioned have Swordish descendants to be able to receive their salaries and pensions. Cool, that all sounds like a bad idea anyway, so yep. Let's veto that. Alright, we've got another newspaper from the Radical. President Rain protects religious freedoms. President Rain has recently vetoed the outrageous Religious Harmony Bill. The bill is aiming to limit the freedoms of Bludish people in Swordland. The MP to propose this bill was, of course, Casaro Keebner, the leader of the NFP himself. Mr. Keebner has never stopped his attacks on Bludish people, and we are sure that he will continue his racist onslaught in his attempts to further divide the country. President Rain's decision to veto this discriminatory bill, which was a clear attack on religious personal freedoms, will be welcomed by Blues and Swords alike. Alright, the journal is just saying we veto that. Coolio. Alright, back to Holsword. For a call from Gus Manger. I was sipping my first cup of coffee for the day when the phone lit up and rang. I swore under my breath. I thought my schedule was clear for at least half an hour. I picked up the phone. Mr. President, how are you doing on this fine day, if I may ask? Fine as well. You? I'm good, because business in Swordland is running as usual from my end. Thanks for asking. I'm calling you because I received a call from the CEO of Armadine Industries, Aaron Bridges, about the recent initial public offering on the Ventry City Stock Exchange. As you might have guessed, it's about a significant venture investment, 2,000 shares worth nearly 2 million ren. I'm very pleased to say that we've made gains. Shares have doubled in price at the IPO and the VCSE. We'll soon receive the profits made from the investment. Isn't that great? Ah, yes, great news. So, how much did we gain? Yeah, you'll love it. In total, we've made nearly 3 million ren. It was risky, yes, but look where we are now. Some things are just worth taking the risk for. Exactly. Electronics manufacturing has a great future, and Armadine seems to have a head start. I assure you, this will pale in comparison to what we'll do together in the future. The money will be transferred to your personal bank account shortly. It's the beginning of a good partnership. Keep it up. I think so too. Goodbye for now. The line dropped. Bam, alright, +4 personal wealth, I'll take that. Nice, alright, let's see what the economists have to say here. Armadine stocks jumped to nearly double. The CEO of Armadine, Aaron Bridges, announced the IPO this morning at the Ventry City Stock Exchange, with the opening value of the stocks doubling due to high demand by the market. Images of celebration were visible at the Ventry Times newspaper. A new era for portable radios has begun for the average citizen, with major advances in military technology pushing civilian technology forward. Nice. Okay, so we got 2 exclamation points here. Okay. Got a private party at a gentleman's club. Yeah. Alright, why not? We're already here. Let's go visit with Pater. Far from becoming accustomed to my workload as president, I only felt more and more snowed under as the weeks passed. It had been ages since I had any time to myself. I was starting to lose my focus. My temper was growing increasingly thin. Pater was the first to recognize I needed a break. After much cajoling, he finally persuaded me to come to a meeting of his new venture, Gentleman's Club. The past few months, he'd been hosting a salon of sorts, not just for politicians and businessmen, but also for artists, entertainers, people of taste, he told me with a smile on his face. There's only one rule: no wives or girlfriends allowed, hence the name. And so I found myself in front of his new luxury villa in Erlery. Very loud jazz music emanated from inside. I waited and waited. Finally, Peter opened the door. I could smell the whiskey on his breath. Anton, finally, now the real party can start. Come on in. As soon as I entered, Peter closed the door and turned to the small crowd. Gentlemen, a minute of your time, please. And now the privilege to present to you the man himself, the fourth president of Soldan, Mr. Anton Rain. I had known him for long enough to understand that he is more than a little drunk. He made an elaborate mock curtsy as I passed him and walked into the room. The music stopped and I felt everyone's eyes on me. Thank you, Peter. What's next? A choir? A marching band? No, saving those for a funeral. Very nice. Peter laughed very hard at his own grim joke before continuing. Dear members, please give a warm welcome to our very special guest. If I may, Anton. Here, take this. He handed me a glass of whiskey and put his hand on my shoulder. We all know why we've gathered here tonight, to celebrate life, to have a brief escape from our tumultuous professions. I personally don't know any better cure for stress than a little drink. I raised my glass and the rest of the crowd followed. Now, the tradition dictates that as club president, I have to remind you of our house rules. There are 3. No politics, no wives, no one sober. Cheers. Peter drank the whiskey in his glass in one go. I took a sip from my whiskey. Anton Rain might have the power to make presidential decrees, but I, Peter Vector, the president of this club, now declare this party started. Music, go! The band started up again. After greeting the crowd around me, I felt a hand on my shoulder. Let me show you around. We walked through the corridors of his mansion. Statues and paintings lined the stark white walls. The arched window provided a view of the neatly manicured grounds, complete with a swimming pool. A grand lesbian marble staircase led up to the second story. Peter gestured at the massive crystal chandelier hanging overhead. That chandelier was made in the 18th century. Can you believe it? There's even a hedge maze in the garden. 18th century chandelier, a hedge maze? A little much, isn't it? Come on, Anton. You only live once. I'll let you in on a secret. Gus Manger has a lot of contacts in real estate. He brokered a good deal for me. He'll also be here tonight. I can introduce you if you like. I think we know Gus. He's part of our cabinet. But whatever. Do you think he'd arrange a deal for me as well? Why wouldn't he? I'm sure he can give you some investment options. We continued walking until we circled back to where we'd started. So, what do you think of my little hideaway? Not bad. Not bad at all. Oh, thanks. You know that you and Monica and the kids are always welcome here. Anyway, let's get back to the party. I arranged for some caviar to be brought in from Lesbia. You're going to love it. He opened the door to the main hall, and we rejoined the other guests. The music was louder now, the mood decidedly more inebriated. Cocktail waitresses were carrying around plates of canapes, wearing dresses that left little to the imagination. So this is what you've been hiding from Evelyn. No one's hiding anything. She knows about these gatherings. He averted my gaze for a second before calling over one of the waitresses. She was in her mid-20s, wearing red lipstick, her blonde hair neatly tied into a ponytail. On her plate, a toast point slathered in the lesbian caviar Peter had mentioned. I took a bite. It was rich, salty, tasting of pure seaside. I could almost hear the sound of waves and seagulls. Lesbian caviar, best in the world. I'm telling you, Anton, there are few pleasures in life that are this. As the waitress left us to serve another attendee, she flashed a quick smile at Peter over her shoulder. And he smiled back a little too broadly. Sensual? His eyes were still fixed on her, an expression I remembered from our many nights out together as students. Oh, look, there's Gus. Why don't you go talk to him? I'll be back shortly. Where are you going? Oh, just to the washroom. I'll be back before you know it. He left the room, and I headed over to Gus. Gus Manger was standing next to a couple of men that I recognized as banking industry magnates. As I approached, all of them turned to me and bowed their heads. Mr. President, toast to our new member, everyone. Gus and I clinked our glasses, and the people around us raised theirs. You don't seem at all surprised to see me here. That's because Peter told me you're going to come. He also told me you might be interested in potential opportunities such as, well, this. He opened his arms, gesturing at our opulent surroundings. Let's take a walk. The balcony has an amazing view of Erlery. We left the room and made our way to the balcony. On the way, he took out 2 cigars and held them out for me. Of course, I'll take the cigar. I took the cigar and started smoking it. Mixed with the taste of whiskey, it was delicious. We went out to the balcony. All of earlier was at our feet. From this vantage point, I was able to see how expansive the building plot was. It's probably expensive too, but the swimming pool and the hedge maze were visible from here. Leaning over the railing, I admired the view for a moment before Gus spoke up. I know you're wondering about the deal Peter made. In a nutshell, thanks to my network, he's able to procure this house for half the asking price, which would be impossible under any other circumstances. I would be delighted to discuss a similar arrangement with you. In fact, I've prepared a document with my own personal favorite opportunities. This is the least I can do since you've been generous to many business people in the country. And what's in it for you? Nothing, Mr. President. It's a simple thank you for supporting me. He downed his whiskey. Well, let's talk about the details then. Gus opened his briefcase and pulled out a thin dossier. He showed it to me. My first offer is, of course, real estate. There's a vineyard close to Earlery, about a 1-hour drive from here, that also includes a very large villa. Beautiful plot, but rather neglected, so there'd be a fair amount of renovation costs. On the bright side, you would be able to produce your own wine. The previous owner was Geralt of Ribery. The world are now Winter. There's also the option of football partnership. I already own a large portion of Honor FC and I'm doing my best to make them champions. Buying it would be more expensive than the vineyard, but the season will bring a lot of returns, so I'm quite positive. My biggest opportunity, though, is the possibility to buy shares in Underhall Construction. My connections ensured me that this would not be open to the public and would benefit you greatly. As you know, they're the biggest construction company in Swordland. Give me the word and I'll start the procurement process, but we must act quickly as options might soon disappear off the market. Alright. Let me take a look and see if this guide says anything about which one to invest in. Okay. So the guide does not seem to say anything about what to invest in here. So I'm going to go invest in the football club because I know that that helps give you some more support with the people. And we might need that for re-election later. So I'm going to go and try this and hope this doesn't backfire. Football sounds exciting. I'll invest in Honor FC. Excellent. I'll start the process right away. Now if you excuse me, Mr. President. He left to rejoin the party. Alone on the balcony, I looked out over Earlery. Suddenly, I heard a rustling from the hedge maze below. I looked down and saw a silhouette. 2 silhouettes, actually, so close together they seemed to be entangled. I squinted and tried to get a better look. It was definitely 2 people kissing, but I couldn't see either of their faces. I returned to the party and spent some time mingling with the other guests, engaging them in small talk about the businesses, their children, their relationships. Around an hour later, Peter showed up next to me. See, I told you to be back before you knew it. It's been an hour. Where were you? I told you I was in the washroom. Why? I'll be direct. Were you with the waitress? What? No, how could you think that? I'm a married man. You know you can tell me anything. Hey, you can have it if you want. Anyway, want a drink? Because I do. We poured us 2 large glasses of whiskey and we drank them in one go. Throughout the party, we drank and drank, just like old times. I woke up the next day with a pounding headache and more than a few regrets. My memories of the evening are hazy, but there's one important detail that kept coming back to me. Red lipstick on Peter's collar. But maybe that was my memory playing tricks on me. Alright. One report from Swordland today. President Rain saves the day. According to the information we've received, President Rain has decided that he will veto the Religious Harmony Bill. The bill itself has the words harmony in it, however, don't be fooled by the name. The proposal prepared by Casaro Keebner took a stab at the heart of the Blutish populace by banning Blutish language from being spoken at religious assemblies. If not for President Rain, this bill would have come to pass. Every single Blut should be grateful for the exemplary decision by the President. Brilliant. Alright, so I guess let's head over to Whole Sword for the briefing on the status of immigration regulation. Exciting. We're in the middle of the meeting in the palace about our immigration policy. The ensuing discussion quickly became heated. I don't think so, Mr. Vichy. It just doesn't make any sense to me that foreign citizens should become a Sword citizen in Swordland. Well said. My analysis is also in line with this, especially during the economic recession. We're giving Swedish jobs to immigrants from other countries. What about our own people? Immigrants are the reason our economy is not completely unsalvageable. Look at Agnolian immigrants in Ireland. They have revitalized their whole region and in turn boost the economy of the entire country. Simon can attest to that. Statistically speaking, allowing immigrants to become part of the workforce contributes to our economy, but I agree that the current situation is very nuanced. With that said, we can't just tighten our immigration policy and expect the economy to stay the same. We need to put our economy and the recession at the forefront. Thankfully, we've just started receiving financial aid from United Cantata.
I can't believe we're accepting financial aid from communists. What's next, letting a child murder and buy us lunch?
I don't know, man, if it's a good lunch.
That's under warships and Conrad. My father will be rolling in his grave.
I've done this with sort of citizens in mind, nothing else.
That's how they took over countries, you know.
Mr. Lancia has a point. We've seen it happen many times.
Yeah, gentlemen. Can we please get back on topic?
All right. Sorry, Mr. Ishii.
As I was just saying before I was interrupted, look at the superpowers. Do you see them closing off their borders? Why do you think their economies are in such good shape? They're in the current state because they welcome immigration used to their advantage. We need to consider the impact on the economy.
Our money flow should be our most concern if we want to have the capability to accomplish actual change.
We need a decision, but before we move on, Mr. President, do you have any questions about the current state of immigration? Sure. What's the current legal status of immigration? Currently, all accepted immigrants are given a work permit on arrival so they can work and contribute to the economy of Sordland. There's currently no limit on the number of immigrants accepted. However, the number has remained stable in the past years.
Despite the laws, the fact is many immigrants illegally work for corporations. That's the main issue with immigration right now, not the immigration itself. Nonsense. If not for the unlimited amount of immigration, we wouldn't be in this state.
How many immigrants live in Sordland? Official numbers show we have anywhere between 2 to 3 million immigrants residing in Sordland.
Even excluding the countless undocumented aliens on this, there's a very substantial amount. The primary issue is that the strife would cause between less fortunate sort of citizens and themselves. Including them in the workforce would benefit everybody, including unemployed swords. More taxes means more services.
Well, how do the immigrants usually arrive here? There are 3 major paths to choose. First one is the Island Technolia border, second is the Birch to Valen border, and third is the Loran coast.
Argnolians are the largest groups. It's a light border over there, although recently political fugitives from Fogsland have been crossing the Grey Sea by boat to land on our coast.
Politically persecuted basic refugees tend to use the dangerous mount passes to the Valen border. Many of them also have brutish blood.
Cool. Well, let's move on and see what can be done about the immigration situation. Yeah, very well. David Ishii opened his dossier, stamped the seal of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Before we make any decisions, I have to remind you, during the elections we promised to keep our immigration laws relaxed, which I think is the right course of action.
I disagree. We're supposed to control and reduce the negative effects of immigration, like crime and subversion.
I see your point, Yosef, but the economy certainly benefits from more immigration. In turn, Lord, on the other hand, suffers immensely. We should tighten the laws to prevent further chaos.
David sighed wearily. This is going nowhere. If we decide to tighten immigration, what does that entail? We would have to impose quotas and connected to that stricter border control.
On top of allowing our economy to take a hit. Mr. Hall, surely the well-being of our citizens and our general security will more than compensate for any downturn in the markets.
Agreed. Sort of citizens should take priority.
Alright, what are the consequences of keeping it lax?
Aside from keeping us on the path towards prosperity, modernity, and continuous improvement, not much. Our current system is good for our era. We also have the capacity. This will in turn allow us to continue protecting investments from foreign countries, which in turn will keep our trade steady. We will be more trustworthy partners. Stability draws money. Stability? What stability? We're already seeing clashes between our people and foreign interlopers. On the contrary, the only way we can achieve stability is through tightening our immigration policy.
You heard the lady. Sold on fast.
I'm ready to make a decision.
Yes?
Everyone leaned forward, eager to hear my response. Well, if we promise to keep it lax, we'll keep it lax. I'm glad you made the right choice.
We'll be forced to handle new waves of mixed Magnolia. Border posts aren't ready.
Not only that, we've just abandoned the native swords need our support the most. Also, this will bring in a new tide of refugees from Valen. Birch is already a difficult region to manage.
This is shameful.
We're not leaving Sordland unprotected. It is a logical decision. I mean, what do you think I gave you all that extra money for?
You're wrong about this. There's a reason why this country has survived the century of revolutions.
I hope hard-working swords see this as positively as you do, Mr. President.
Anything else, Mr. President? Thank you for your contributions. Let's wrap this up. Ministers gathered documents, rose from their chairs, some with frowns on their faces. I'm looking forward to the upcoming trade talks. Peter and I have been visiting Southport and Rockliffe in preparation.
I'll be coming along to talk with the economy minister, looking forward to the potential partnership. If we are finished, I need to head off and get to the ministry to work on the new policy.
Same here. Our border units need to be informed.
Keep up the good work. Ministers dispersed.
Nice. All right. Well, that feels like as good a place as any to stop for today. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see y'all next time.